Today, May 8th, 2026, this is Nikola TOK and Sergey Tsvigun speaking. Today we have a final AMA session about the Signal project, a growing token from GX. Today is an important day for us. We will show you, Sergey will give a presentation, a fundamental, very in-depth, excellent one. He's prepared, so you can shower him with exclamation marks in the chat instead of applause. But you can also applaud, he'll see it and be happy. I just want to say a couple of words about the marketing strategy. As I've mentioned many times, I am a professional marketer. And we are implementing a fairly large and long marketing chain of events that lead to the expected results. Those who were with us for Sidra saw how beautifully it worked at the launch, right? How we are hitting the numbers that we discuss with Sergey. How cool is that? When there is a certain team that has its own professionalism, and how this turns not into a game of individual musicians, each person playing separately, but rather into an orchestra that starts playing in unison. That is really cool. And I would like to say that there are two different approaches to marketing strategy. For example, when a certain project requires the maximum amount of attention in a single unit of time, they use absolutely all marketing tools right at the start, meaning they just create a boom, an impulse, hype, a stir, bam, 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 so that everywhere they create this maximum vacuum, so to speak, and then later gather all that attention from the market. Our strategy, on the other hand, is different. We roll things out very smoothly and carefully. Yes, so to speak, we're spinning up this flywheel, getting it going, and now you can see how we're gradually, little by little, starting to add more. Let's put it this way, we're slowly turning up the gas. So bit by bit, we haven't even shifted into second gear yet. So we're still just idling along in first gear, and even so, the results are already very good. And today I see that in the community, most people who attend the Zoom calls, who come to the AMA sessions, who were at the training, are experiencing what we commonly call a light bulb moment. Yes, in other words, there comes an understanding, a deep inner confidence, clarity, and certainty about where we're going, why we're going there, how it's happening. And this gives us signals, certain cues about when we can launch the next dates, the next cascades, the next elements that will spin the flywheel even faster. Today, Sergey has prepared a fundamental presentation that will show the very foundation of the entire ecosystem, the interconnections between Lotos and Signal, the global strategy, where we are heading, what problems our products solve, and how all of this is interconnected. So we're moving straight from words to action. Sergey, I'm handing the microphone over to you. Let's go.
Thank you very much, Kolya, and thanks to everyone, guys. I won't keep you waiting, so let's just start from the foundation, Lotos and Signal. So let's move on. Let's go back to the basics, because some people know, some don't. Yes, just a second, everyone. Let me put it this way. In general, as I mentioned, Pinchal is one of the leaders, essentially the founder of the cabinet. He said that DeFi is the future, and its volume makes up about 5 to 10% of the total volume. That's not a small amount for CeFi, really. The next bull run could very well make DeFi even bigger than CeFi, as shown in the previous slides. We had different numbers there for 2025, but here it's 2024. So now for 2025, what happened is that the trading volume of CeFi, if we take spot, strictly spot, actually dropped by 12%. The trading volume in DeFi grew by 139% over the year. All these indicators confirm that the DeFi market is indeed developing. With each passing time, more and more interesting technologies are emerging in this market, and each time there are more and more of them. And people are starting to understand why it's better for them to use a decentralized exchange for trading rather than a centralized one. If we go through the points now, one of the important ones is the transparency of protocol transactions. This is where you can actually see whether the rules that the company claims will be followed are really being enforced, or when you can simply open up and observe how the protocol and the company interact. In other words, you can see the transactions, who bought, what was bought, where it was sold, and so on. Because if you look at centralized exchanges, everything there is basically a black box. You can't see who is buying, who is selling, or the volumes. Market makers just create numbers, they don't pay commissions for it, and as a result, any kind of manipulation can happen. Another important point is having full control over your own funds, meaning you have complete control over your money and interact with it directly. You don't have to ask the exchange to process your withdrawal, because every time you do that, yes, they monitor it. You either pass or don't pass. There are no legal issues or anything like that. Do your volumes as a whale exceed certain limits? And based on that, they decide whether to let you withdraw your funds or not, when you interact with exchanges or your money. You simply keep it on MetaMask, Trust Wallet, or on smart contracts and blockchains and so on. You are the owner of the AM and you interact with it accordingly. At any moment, you can withdraw them or make some trades. And all of this is great because these are certain pains that exist. And of course, there will be a solution for every pain. Ultimately, it is really just a matter of time before this shift happens. Most importantly, I firmly believe that the blockchains themselves are deeply interested in this transition, specifically in having trading volume move over to DeFi, simply because they earn significant transaction fees. Tatacinto. When you make a purchase on a traditional centralized exchange, only that specific centralized entity earns the commission, while the underlying blockchain network itself gets absolutely nothing in return for that activity. This creates a powerful incentive for networks to support decentralized alternatives. But when trading happens on decentralized platforms like Uniswap or PancakeSwap, you push your transaction to the blockchain, meaning it gets recorded in the data ledger, and you pay a fee to the validator, so to speak. In this way, the system itself and the blockchain are interested in further development. It was created for openness so that we could trace and view every record and so on. That's why the champion, of course, already saw and understood this at his level, realizing that sooner or later, let's say one part would deflate while another would inflate, and that's basically logical. That's what's happening. That's the reality. Even if we look now at centralized exchanges, we can see, if you look at the list from the bottom up, how over time they just keep shutting down one after another because they don't have those interesting tokens that could attract users. They don't have the trading volume that users would bring in because the exchange uses the user's money. It's just like what banks themselves do. That's it. And that's why DeFi provides this kind of transparency and provable value, where using the example of a company's capitalization, you can actually see how much real money is in the liquidity pool. In other words, at least you can see it and get a tangible sense of it. You can actually calculate an approximate percentage and risk ratio there, whereas on a centralized exchange, it's much more difficult to do that. That's it. There are also other regulatory aspects which are also important both in DeFi and in a way will eventually come. At the very least, they'll come last, or at most, they'll take on some other form of interaction. So let's move on. This is regarding DeFi. I think it's clear and logically understandable that yes, it's worth going in that direction. It's an interesting market. It's a market of opportunities. So what happened? The market moved there after protocols like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, and other decentralized exchanges appeared. The market moved in that direction. And if we remember 2021, there were only about 8,000 tokens on CoinMarketCap. So even back then, you already had to spend some time to do your research. And when we first came in around 2015, CoinMarketCap was basically empty, you could say. And of course, back then, people didn't have to think long about what to buy. Well, I'll just pick from the top 20, top 30, 40 up to 50, or the top 100. Then the market started to expand. More assets appeared, and more different methods emerged for tokens to enter the market. ICOs, IDOs, and so on. So what do we have right now? At the moment, there are more than 30 million tokens on the market. Definitely more than 30 million. That is, there are various contracts being deployed. If we take just 4 blockchains as an example, Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, Base, and Solana, for instance, then in total, the combined number of all these tokens is enormous. In 24 hours, they generate 758 million in trading volume. That's actually quite a lot, considering that the market itself is still young, that it's still developing in any case, but many people don't know how to interact with it because it's complicated, unclear, and inaccessible. This is actually one of the key areas, so to speak, and in total there are over 100 different DEXs and CEXs on the blockchain. They come up with their own algorithms, and while the leaders remain leaders in any case, the market itself is evolving and will continue to develop. So everything seems great. The market is growing, the number of tokens is increasing, but there is a huge problem. What is the problem? Initially, when we first entered the market, when Uniswap appeared and you could buy any tokens, it was just a balm for the soul because everything was growing. And why was it growing? Because there were no scammers and no one really had the intention to deceive users. Or at least there was a chance to play this game fairly. A redistribution. When I first bought 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10, and then people started deploying en masse as soon as it became popular. After all, there are smart contracts in this network that are malicious, where a person buys a token and as a result, they can't sell it. And this became a problem because what happened was that liquidity started leaking out of the blockchain as a whole. Yes, trust began to decline, so to speak, in the idea that you could find some interesting project there. Liquidity started flowing in the wrong direction and people's involvement didn't stop. People kept rushing in anyway because with one token they made 100-fold profit, with another token they got scammed, third scam, fourth scam. But he remembers that he made 100-fold profit. And so, to this day, to this very day, It's like the market is living with this problem, with this pain. And back then, 95% of these smart contracts on MVM, there were 3.16 billion in stolen funds, and only 5% actually gave you the opportunity, let's say, to buy a token and sell it. We're not even talking about other vulnerabilities that were also present there. So we started to study this deeply, to dig in, to see how it might be possible to protect yourself from all this. Yes, and then we realized that this is actually a huge pain point. It's a massive market. At that time, there really weren't any solutions for it yet. Plus, there was neither Kraken nor other third-party tools that exist now and are available on the market. So we started analyzing, and even back then, we began launching our first neural networks. This was about 4 years ago, give or take, and they didn't deliver good results. We realized that we needed a data set. A data set is the key to this. And we started writing our own algorithms to figure out how we could detect various scam methods. And honestly, it was a really interesting adventure at that time. As of the latest public updates we've had, the scam detection rate was, in smart contracts, we were already detecting scams in 70% of cases, meaning 30% was still an invisible front for us, but that's already much better than what's available on the market. And accordingly, if we look at the current moment, we're already itching to release the next update because we've managed to get close to, or maybe even surpass, 90%. And we'll see, once we launch new tokens on the market on Lotus, then we'll be able to provide a clearer statistic of what's happening right now. And this is actually a very important technological aspect because we are solving a huge pain point, one that, as far as I know, is costing colossal amounts of money. There's something else I'd like to say. This is just my personal opinion regarding the salon. Why did the salon start to grow so well? Because from the very beginning, all their methods were verified by the blockchain itself. That is, if someone tries to implement some third-party method that hasn't been verified by the system itself, by Ruslan's blockchain, then it immediately becomes, let's say, a smart contract that doesn't comply with their protocols. It gets marked as modified, and users simply don't buy it because they think, why should I buy some modified contract? They probably assume something bad was added, and as a result, they were able to simplify that area where 95% of the MVM network suffers, because otherwise, for them, it would probably be 5 to 95. Roughly speaking, because people can trade among themselves, there are no problems with the contract's source code, there are just other issues, like a rug pull or these quick manipulations or when too many people have had their hands on it and so on. Yeah, that's just how it is. And so when Papa came out, it actually showed what people really like and where they're willing to go. This redistribution by the company, which basically allowed you to launch a smart contract in just 2 clicks, is what people were drawn to. And they made $1 billion in commissions, which users paid them for generating contracts. Moving on. The company is also developing, following its own particular path, and so on. This actually created quite a buzz in the market. But overall, you understand that the problem hasn't really been solved with the tools that exist. The scanners available on the market are what they are, and nothing changes. And so we've always been focused on providing value, on finding ways to deliver value. We tested a huge number of hypotheses. And accordingly, we arrived at certain solutions that are now unique, solutions that don't exist anywhere else on the market. If you look at the history of the past, for example, because the history of the past is actually always very important. By knowing the history of your past, do you know where we'll end up in the future? And accordingly, DeFi today is like the internet before Google. Why? It's actually very simple. Back in the 1990s, during the dot-com era on the stock exchanges, whenever someone said, we have an online presence, we have a website, their stocks would just skyrocket. Even though in reality there was no real technology, no value, and so on. And certain bubbles were created because of this. Yes, and in exactly the same way now, thousands of different tokens are coming out in DeFi, all claiming various things. There. They say, like, we have this kind of value, we have that kind of value, or for example, some are artificially hyped up. Yes, just to attract attention, meaning that just like back then when there were lots of websites, now there are a lot of tokens. A person simply doesn't understand where to focus their attention. And even to try to analyze all this manually, for example, is just unrealistic. It's impossible. We simply can't do it. There are just so many patterns you need to analyze, and you also have to make decisions quickly based on all of that. But you have to spend, I don't know, a week on just one token before you even figure out how to analyze it. By then, it won't even be interesting anymore. All of this needs to work in real time. Every transaction that comes in should already be processed, some information should be received, and just so you understand, a block updates every 0.2 seconds. Every 0.2 seconds. Our system has to make decisions, so to speak, and analyze all of this as well. That's why I've said many times that our focus is on architecture. The architecture is simply the key to all of this. After that, we just blossom like a rocket. We take off and keep going, but that's not what we're talking about right now. So why this analogy? Yes, because it's identical in a way. There's a lot of noise, but not much value. So what did Google do? Google said, okay, guys, let's figure this out. We'll map the token that Tokyo is talking about, and we'll map it to the bytes that actually have some real engagement. At least users will get some value out of it. They started creating filtering, ranking, began improving, digging deeper and deeper, how to build such a system and where they are now. That's exactly it. We also lack a Google-like system in blockchain, but with a huge number of filters. But in the end, it should be as simple as possible, because as we went along, we gave people the option of filters. And this and that and a third thing, but they don't want it. It's complicated, even when we try to simplify it. And that's exactly what Nikolai pointed out along the way when he first joined, like, guys, this is great, really cool, but it's complicated, it needs to be simplified. That's why this is one of the main problems Lotus is solving. To see activity, to see value where others don't. And to do it faster, to show it to you, to demonstrate something right away. It truly deserves attention so that project founders have the opportunity to receive funding and so that investors have the chance to see it. Indeed, those are the projects worth paying attention to, the ones that are trying to bring certain value to the market. Or simply to play the speculation game well, but within certain protocols, so that the user understands what risk they are taking. And the second problem is how to buy and interact. How to buy, how to sell, and how to profit as desired. I want it to be as straightforward as on centralized exchanges, and in DeFi it kind of exists too. But it's inconvenient and so on, so we created the ability to interact through a trading terminal. Buy, sell. Yes, there's still work to be done, there's still room for improvement, but the most important thing is the vector, and the vector we've chosen is the right one. Step by step, we're moving in that direction, step by step, we're moving forward. There was a time when people hadn't even seen this trading terminal. We were just saying that it would exist. Time passed, and now it exists. We said we would do it, time went by, and it became a reality. So the hypotheses that we test and retest, we share them with people, we talk about them. We show that we are a real company, one that is moving forward, developing. We have various materials on YouTube that you can also check out. So the second question that needed to be addressed was the ability to quickly and conveniently interact, to buy and sell. And we created this through a trading terminal, yes, and at the moment, it will also be partially available through a Signal, which we will talk about later, but we became interested and thought it would be logical to consider this carefully. We are truly solving problems that exist in the market, and first and foremost, blockchain should be interested in this. And logically, let's write to them, let's reach out to them. So what did we do? We wrote to the first blockchain, which is Mantle. We told them what we are doing and asked if they would be interested in us integrating them in exchange for receiving something from their side. They said they are ready to announce us. For example, on their Twitter, they can say that we can create a joint collaboration. And of course, the first company, and right away an announcement on Twitter, which ranks somewhere around 30th place, give or take, in that range. But for us, that's wow, awesome, super. It already makes us happy. Then we went to the company Avalchain, talked with them, and said that we would like to receive grants, that we would like to get some support or assistance from them. What did they say? That when we join, they are ready to give us a grant, and they are also ready to provide us with support on Twitter. So yes, announcing our presence is important, and with such exposure, our opportunities just keep growing, and soon Lotus will be everywhere. It will be part of this global chain of interactions between companies. This is the main goal, to get into that space where the traffic simply flows between these companies, and as a result, you become a market player. That's what we're aiming for. That's our objective. So we thought, okay, let's go further. Yes, let's move forward, and we went to Ben once. We wrote to the support team of the platform, got in touch with them, had a conversation, and told them about our technology. They supported us, said they liked what we were doing and that they saw value in it. And so, first of all, we got on to Ben once before anyone else. Yes, we submitted an application, they audited us and took a look at what we were doing. They accepted us onto the panel. We're in DeFi there, meaning we currently hold the 117th spot, so the ranking fluctuates, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. But as I've said many times before, I truly believe in this. We will make it into the top 10, we'll be among the top 10 best projects being built on Bendy Chain. And yes, accordingly, you see, we're not just solving their problem, we're also addressing issues of other blockchains, specifically the challenge of such interactions. Then something very pleasant happened. After we got listed with them, I noticed my phone was blowing up. Just Twitter notifications going off nonstop. I wondered what was happening, picked up my phone and saw a flood of subscriptions coming in, just pure spam. No, I didn't understand at first, but then I checked the post. So Ben Bachain had reposted it, and it gave me such amazing emotions. It's like, getting recognition from the big players. It's a certain confirmation that we're on the right track. Sure, we might not be perfect, maybe some things work, some things don't, but the very fact that step by step we're starting to get noticed. The most important thing is to choose the right direction. It will be thorny, it will be different. But the main thing is if you see the goal there, if you understand that it's a good goal, that yes, it will help, whether it's for people or for other technologies that exist, you just need to boldly go there. Let me go back to the slide. Why do we do comprehensive analysis of crypto projects? Because we analyze not only the smart contract, but also the interactions within transactions between wallets. Who transferred to whom, when it was transferred, whether they were involved, whether it went through some mixer or not. In other words, we see all the possible variations of schemes that exist and what we don't see right now. That's a good question. Over time, we'll see it later. If you come up with some pattern or a way to track it, we can see social traces. I mentioned that we have Telegram groups, somewhere around 30,000 people and even more on Twitter for sure. We also see who says what and for which token you need to connect some additional interactions. So we analyze a very large layer of information, and thanks to the very technologies that are now coming into our market, this is becoming more accessible and faster. And you don't need as many resources as you did before. And you don't need such a big team either. The main thing is to have people who believe in what they're doing. The most important thing is for the team's values to be rock solid, so to speak, and for them to have faith in where they're headed. And for them to truly love from the heart what they do, that's the key. That's really what a team should have, and everything else comes second. This is the product, and if you look at it from the perspective of the product itself, it's about where the team is heading. It's been 4 years of analytics, development, and a lot of testing of different hypotheses, reviewing all the variations of companies that exist on the market, observing what others are doing, where they're moving, how they see the market, and so on. Because sometimes, honestly, the answers turned out to be quite simple, from, let's say, sources you would never expect. It's just a small puzzle piece, so to speak, that helped fit into another larger system. You just need to follow this path. We've already analyzed more than 3.5 million tokens. Actually, even more than that. Yes, 3.5 million smart contracts, codes of various types, and so on, which are now helping us train our neural networks. We mentioned that we analyze bytecodes, but I won't go into detail about that now. It's just one of the notions we have. You can check us out on YouTube, where we talk about this. Plus, in parallel, we also conduct some more technical presentations from Lotos, perhaps for people who are interested in a deeper technical aspect of the project. Then there's the active development in DeFi. Think about it. What is DeFi? It's an open data registry. Everything is there, a complete database that neural networks need. By combining one and the other, we can deliver results that, at the very least, simply don't exist on the market right now. So thanks to this kind of interaction, we realize that we're at the very forefront, right at the hottest point, because decentralized finance is evolving, tokenization is entering our world. BlackRock itself is talking about this, and at the same time, neural networks, agents, that's where everything is heading now. And we're combining one component with the other because they are just begging to be connected. And this is where we spend a significant amount of our time to create this interaction, and then the automatic protection against scams. Here's what that means. It means that we will protect our users. How? If we see that some contract has gone through and it has scammed 2 users, for example, we immediately block it, and instantly withdraw all the user's funds in order to create the safest possible interaction. Yes, meaning there isn't really a terminal that takes care of its users and highlights all the necessary points they need so that they can make decisions with peace of mind. Yes, so there are basically 2 options here, a simplified model and a more, let's say, professional one. But everyone chooses what they want for themselves. So 10 years of the crypto industry, 150 years of combined team experience, and so on. If you look at it, users from more than 30 different countries have already visited our platform because we built strong partnerships. Not just with me, but at its peak, 30.5 million space users were coming over. And well, there are other companies as well, other companies present in the market, so we are gradually integrating ourselves into this chain. So now the question is about the signal. Okay, guys, it's clear what you're doing, but how exactly does the signal work? This interaction is being established because these types of questions do come up sometimes. And I'd really like to provide some broader perspective on this matter now. If we understand that Lotos is a large infrastructure project, what it can provide is an API. It offers comprehensive data, infrastructure, analytics, and software development tools and support in order to create the necessary simplified model for the signal. In other words, the signal becomes the entry point into the ecosystem, while Lotos serves as the foundation for long-term development. At this moment, the signal allows for quick access. You can go into Telegram and just press the open button. And just like that, you're already inside the system. Then we demonstrate a typical, as simple as possible interaction so as not to scare off the user, so that, look, here are 5 tokens that right now are just taking off. They're really active. That's because there's no Google, but Google is kind of inside the signal. Like, I see it, I want to buy it, I buy it quickly. You've already made, say, 20% or even 100%. Wow, that's awesome. That's it. That's the interaction, right? But on Lotos, on that version, it's hard to do because you need MetaMask. You have to go through all that. Let's say you have to set certain filters yourself, right, in order to create the interaction. But here we want to make it simpler. And accordingly, what does this simplification give us? It gives us scale of attention. The attention of an audience that says, hey, it's so simple, I figured it out myself, I just went in, pressed 2 buttons, and now I'm a trader. Or I've already got such a token. And we understand that there are a lot of people like that. Because when we showed the numbers, we calculated that about 35,000 active users generated 250 million in revenue for companies over a year. 250 million in commissions, you see? And accordingly, the market is definitely not just 35,000 active users. If we take Binance, for example, they have about 650 million registered users. It's just that for them, this is difficult. It's unclear. There's a lot of scam. When we remove that, the environment becomes completely different, making it easier for more people to come in. And the signal is exactly that, a signal. It tells people, guys, take a look at what's here. Like, Lotus, is it difficult? Okay, first go to Signal, create an account, just move up step by step, feel this interaction, feel that there is something real here, and gradually start to go deeper. And accordingly, this is how people get involved in the ecosystem, in Lotus as a whole, the concept of Lotus, where we are heading, what we are doing, and so on. If we break down the client's journey from quick entry to professional infrastructure, again, Signal is about quick access and convenience. Yes, then the Minder mode is created, which helps to find new tokens. It sees them. It tracks activity, where and what kind there is, providing filtering to highlight, say, the top 30 million tokens, remove personal ones, eliminate as many scams as possible, and select all the interactions that exist, essentially cleaning up everything that scammers have created. I just present it as a smooth lake, so to speak, something you should pay attention to. That's it. So what happens next? A person buys, sells, interacts. Okay, everything is accessible, everything is clear, everyone likes it. But then directly, guys, now I'm ready. I want, for example, to do some sniping, or I want, for instance, to set up my own filters in some way. Or maybe I want a more professional trading terminal. Welcome, my friend, that's even better. You're ready, you've come through this funnel, so your next step is Lotus. But in order not to overwhelm you right away, it's actually ideal for you to go through this development scenario, because many people can jump straight to Lotus, but many cannot. Some people need to take it step by step. This is exactly the simplest possible interaction, because we will be transferring to the Minder mode. Everything is filtered as much as possible. And what is hottest, what we see at the current moment, is selected to get the maximum attention effect. So what happens next is that the person gets access to the Minder mode. Yes, this is as simple as it gets. We remove everything unnecessary for now, take the best from the market, and simplify it as much as possible. So here you are in front of him, like in Tokyo. He presses the barrel button, the order is sent. He presses the button, sits down, the order is sent. Yes. So this is the kind of interaction that is created. He receives a notification. Listen, you're sitting in a cafe, it doesn't matter how, I'm just transferring money. But listen, here some kind of abnormal activity is starting up. It's like drawing his attention, and he comes in to pay attention and accordingly decides whether he wants to interact. No, but in turn we will limit him. He says, for example, I want to enter with $1,000, and we say no less than 30. And your order will be set, for example, at a maximum of 50%. Take profit so that people don't stay in it for too long, so that people can get their profit. And accordingly, what was happening in this process? People want everything quickly, like, I want it all fast, 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 everything as quickly as possible. So, accordingly, this will be fast, and that's why it will attract as much attention as possible around itself. And that's a fact, it's logical, right? So, accordingly, there could be a lot or a little liquidity in this token, and we'll be watching to see how much liquidity there is. We'll be able to estimate roughly how many people there are. Roughly speaking, you can launch this token, right? But how many? For example, a person could invest $20 or $100. This will also depend on other factors, which we'll talk about now, right? But the very fact of the concept, the way it moves, it just naturally fits here. It just makes sense here. And this is exactly what Kolik noticed, right? He pointed out, guys, this is great. But look, you can also attract additional attention this way. It makes sense. The numbers add up. Everything looks good. So accordingly, this app will provide the search for new opportunities. As we mentioned, tokens, displaying data in real time, that's what we're working on architecturally to add. Various smart filters that you won't even need to select, they will be set up automatically. Now we can say, listen, it's cool, of course, but if there were tokens, then it would really be great. But there's no liquidity. We looked at what's happening with the market. I want to either disappoint or please you, I don't know which. But tokens have always existed and always will, because there are always some unique projects launching, some know-how, some meme tokens, some not meme tokens. There is always redistribution happening, and accordingly, people always want to get involved in this, just like with old projects. Look at those projects from, say, 2015. They've been gradually, steadily growing over time. And then suddenly there's a burst of activity, like a show, so they manage to hold on for so long, for such a long time. Often, tokens that are just coming out aren't held for long, and these are all patterns, wallet patterns. Who is doing what? What kind of interactions are happening inside? And also the new tokens that are coming out, those fresh ones. Some just came out recently and are slowly making their way. Bam, bam, bam. More new tokens keep coming out. Boom, boom. And have you seen them or not? And why is that? Right? Because how am I supposed to find them in all this chaos, in this huge number of different projects? And we highlighted them saying, look, here, 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 this is what's interesting. If you want, buy it. If not, don't. What is the risk zone? Not close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so a person listens and thinks, well, I'm interested. Maybe I want to get in. Maybe I'll buy something too. Show me what they were showing there. And we say, all right, look here. Then comes the question, how do you interact through the X utility token? For example, what if I want to buy, let's say, not ZIX, but something for trading, for carrying out operations? In order to interact with the Minder module, you will need ZX, let's say, as a kind of fuel so that you can buy and sell. Yes, for example, if you want to see, say, 5 tokens for free, but if you want to see 10, then you need ZX. And when a person, let's say, interacts, of course, if they want to see 10 tokens, 15, or just get more information, that's possible. Like, I want to see the best of what you found, give me more, and we'll gladly provide it. So for example, you make a payment in ZIX tokens and then there's a level system. What does that mean? At the first level, you can buy for $15, and as soon as you purchase the token, you'll be at that level right away. There will be sales going on there at 100%, and the date will automatically give you a 50% increase in your capital. Let's say I don't want to sell, I want to go for 30 or even 300 times returns, like for example 300 times. You need to have level 2 or level 3 in order to, first of all, be able to enter with a larger amount. Secondly, to have more opportunities, and thirdly, to be able to choose certain ranges yourself that you want. So we'll gradually just be teaching people this process, and everywhere you'll need to use X talking. That's why for others, I'm also creating a certain development center for the ecosystem itself, or participation in various events. Yes, we'll come up with a reward system for people, for those who are active and so on, and then of course, there are people who are supporters who currently don't have tokens or JEX, who aren't even in line yet. They're not after this token because for some reason they find it uninteresting. Or they'll come later when there's a Minder mode, and I assure you that's exactly what will happen, and for most people it will be like that. But there is a difference between those people who are already prepared and those who just want to join in. And then what happens is, well, it happens. We say, okay, then we start gradually kind of already launching on the DEX, right? And accordingly, people will buy from the DEX, buying from the DEXs. They bring it back here, so in this way, we gradually move on to this DEX, right? And accordingly. Then you decide for yourself at what price you want to sell or what you want to do with your DEXs, and so on. The main thing is that there is real value here. There is a foundation, there is a product. It's not just a token. It's not just for the sake of having a token. Here, there's a logical chain of redistribution. What is happening right now is cool, it's just wonderful, because you can see how people are getting involved, how people interact in general, what amazing masses are coming in, and the deep topics being discussed. Probably this is what I wanted, what I dreamed of, honestly, because for this place it was important that the circle of people coming in would be as pure as possible so that they would just listen, so that they would see, so that they would forgive our mistakes that we make along the way, but so that our thoughts would go together and very far. This foundation is everything again. Because thanks to the team, thanks to this foundation, we will be able to go far. So just let it be. If someone hasn't joined in yet, that's okay, they'll join later, that's fine. If someone doesn't join at all, that's also totally fine. So you have to understand that this path, let's say, is beautiful in its own way, because it gives people, those who sincerely believe in what we are doing, the opportunity to receive rewards and gain opportunities right now. And what exactly for me is a very important point. Yes, it's that this referral system that we have now will also continue automatically. For example, with trading signals on the internet, when users trade, you will earn commissions from those users, and then also in the future. If someone says, I want more professional trading, they come to Lotos. They will interact through Lotos. And you will also earn commissions. Plus, let me say, as we have it set up, how the referral system works, the percentages here will be different. So yes, we will review everything later and then provide you with the exact final version. But for now, we already understand that the referral program will be especially interesting for those people who are ready to build structures, who are ready to move forward with us in unison, because this is their business. This is the business they are building right now. That's because they receive referral rewards. And accordingly, this is the path we are currently following. Some people see it, some see it differently, but the fact remains that we are moving forward regardless, and we will reach our goal. So, in principle, that's all from me for now. Early participation is the future, and the advantage is 100%, because right now you have the opportunity to start gathering people. Look, there will come a wonderful moment when the Minder mode will be, let's say, fully functional. What will we do then? In Lotos, we will announce a large number of partnerships. We will launch various advertising campaigns, and as a result, a large audience will hear about it. And right now, this is essentially an opportunity for users, for people, for leaders to build these structures, because sooner or later, if a person is strong, they will find out about LOPS. But the question is, will they come through your referral link to the bot, or will they come directly to the company? That will be a secondary question, depending on how much effort each person puts in. That's basically all I have. Thank you very much.
Yes, Sergey, thank you very much for a very informative, clear, and fundamental presentation. Thank you for preparing the slides. Yes, guys, I answered some of the questions there. I also want to give you a bit more perspective. Look, at the beginning of our meeting today, I mentioned that marketing strategies, right? There are different kinds and they unfold gradually. Now, I just want to give you an example. I would like to ask everyone a quick question. Has anyone here ever had the chance to visit the social network known as Instagram? If you have, could you please do me a huge favor and put a plus sign in the chat box right now? That is absolutely fantastic. I can see all of those pluses coming through already, and that is really great to see. And do you know what year this social network actually appeared? Go ahead and write the year down on the paper. Please go ahead and write the year right now. We have 2015. Okay, then we have 2008. Some people might say 12. Okay, then write down 10. That is very good. Keep going. You are doing a great job. Well, if you ask ChatGPT, it will tell you for sure that this company was launched by Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger in 2010. And 2 years later, in 2012, this app was bought by a company for $1 billion. Now, please write in what year you registered on Instagram. Do you even remember or not? Just so you understand how real marketing works. Someone even writes 2003 and Natasha writes 2012. So as soon as Meta bought it, think about it again, just 2 years later. So Meta eventually bought this app for about $1 billion. Look, some people registered 2 years later, while others joined 4 years after it first launched back in 2014. It was a massive deal at the time. It has been 2 full years since Meta first bought it, and others, well, I still clearly remember back in 2019. Okay, yes, thank you very much. 2030, that is nice. You are thinking ahead. Good job. Now, please write down the number 3 in the comments if you still haven't registered on this social network yet. Just go ahead and put the number Q3 right there. Yuris is planning to do it in 2030. So yes, he has a specific plan to register. It's great to have it for life, but look, here's a question for you. What do you think? How many hundreds of millions of people are still not registered on the social network Instagram? A lot, yes, a lot. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. As I was saying, Sergey is talking about how we are gradually rolling out the strategy. Yes, so that's why people are important at every stage of this strategy. That is, we don't need everyone right at the beginning, as is usually assumed. Like we have to hurry up and make it in time now. No, we need people today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, in a month, in 6 months, in a year, and in 2 years, because we've entered a market that will definitely grow, that will definitely develop. And that is definitely interesting to a large number of people. When this is a gradual kind of strategy, which evolves and develops on its own gradually over a long period of time. Okay? I have some additional news and updates for you. There are some things prepared for you, and as you can see for yourselves, our system has stabilized. We've started morning workouts, and interesting speakers are joining in. Right now, I'm constantly in touch with people from various communities, people who were worried about missing the launch. Signals and so on are now being seen as truly fundamental tools, something that can be considered for the long term. Just today, we had a session at the morning breakfast. I think it's called BitBook Community. Next week, I'll be flying to Thailand. I've been invited to an event there also as a regular participant. Right now, my session is about to end, but in 40 minutes, there will be another session, always with a small community of bloggers. We are currently in negotiations. Many have shown interest and want to interact with us. They want to collaborate on their own terms, but we have our own vision, so it's turning into a really great negotiation process. We've had an awesome update this week located within the partner rewards section. Put a plus in the chat if you saw these updates, if you liked them, if you felt they were useful. Yes, I see your pluses. Great. At this very moment, guys, we're also working on an incredibly exciting and major new update that we'll be revealing to all of you this coming Monday. And it is definitely going to be something special. Much earlier than we told you, yes. So our project is developing much faster and more dynamically. Honestly, I can't remember any projects in the market where things moved this quickly. It's all thanks to the team, thanks to you, thanks to professionalism. 4 days ago, we held an awesome training for active partners deep dive. Put the number 10 in the chat. Who attended that training and who liked it, please also share your feedback. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Next Thursday, May 14th, there will be a second deep dive meeting. This is a very valuable training where we don't talk about tokens, millions, and so on. We talk about the most important things in every person's life. It's about searching for deeper meaning, about unlocking your highest potential, and doing so in a way that is authentic and harmonious. Also, we will be launching a marathon with valuable prizes, a kind of promotion. All of this will happen next week. By the way, who among you would like to try out Minder Mode before June? Guys, write I'm in the chat if you would like to try out Minder Mode earlier. Vlad, I don't see anything from you in the chat. Surely you should be one of them, right? Everyone wants to try it out, but for you, I have sensational news with Sergey's permission. So basically, on Monday, we'll let you try out this product. It will already be its demo version, but it will already be working. You'll be able to see how it works. It won't be the full product yet, but it will be a demo version. Guys, not in June, not in July, but already this Monday. Can you imagine how cool that will be? I'm really excited. I'd even say I'm shocked that it's happening so fast. It hasn't even been a month yet. So we'll already be rolling it out to you, so it'll be a demo. Once again, I want to emphasize that this won't be the Minder mod with full functionality, but it will be a demo version, and it won't just be a picture. It will actually work in real time. So for those who paid close attention to the presentation today, Sergey showed some inside slides. But for those who weren't paying attention, sorry, next time be more attentive. There won't be filtering yet. Just to reiterate, this is a demo version. For now, we'll just show how this product works. It won't have the full functionality yet. Once again, I want to emphasize that this is just to get a feel for how it will look and how convenient it is, so you can experience it for yourselves. And right now, we're moving on to an important part of today's meeting. We are presenting a new product within our community. By the way, Vitaly writes that there are 6 minutes left until the bot opens. Yes, and I also want to draw your attention to this. Look, I've been in companies where when they launch a new product, they sell it. Put a plus in the chat if you've encountered this. When a new product comes out, you have to pay for it again. Please note that we are launching a truly unique product that we have worked on for a long time. As I mentioned, there is a separate company dedicated specifically to artificial intelligence development, and we are providing access to this product absolutely free of charge to every member of our community who has at least a minimum active. Sergey, I'll ask you now to stop sharing your screen so I can turn mine on. So look, I won't spend time right now. You'll be able to try out this product yourself in just 5 minutes. It will automatically check whether you have a license. If you choose not to do that, it will automatically redirect you back to me and encourage you to take a bold leap of faith into a completely different and truly new reality. Right now, I'll just show you exactly how I personally interacted and engaged with it just while we were connected here together. So can you see my screen, guys? I hope you can see it. For those of you watching, look, this is how it will look in the Zixmender bookment work. It will always have navigation, meaning you'll always have access to links to our channels. You can find presentations here and the knowledge base will always be updated. You will always be able to go directly from this mentor bot and study the material you need. But for the laziest ones, you don't even have to do that because you can just say to it, hey, hello, what can you do? But like, I'm asking you a question and please, it tells you, I am the SGX mentor, your personal guide and mentor in the ecosystem Signal. My task is not just to throw around terms, but to help you build a clear path to results in the world of crypto assets. But then he goes on to talk about what he can do and asks you what you want, like I can help you with capital. He immediately looks at that. He explains how Signal works, what licenses it has, how it operates, and asks what my goal is, how much money I have. I immediately write to him, I want to proceed. $1 million, I'm ready to invest $10,000, and he lays out a specific strategy for me based on my goal. Yes, so the goal is $1 million, and he evaluates what I need to start with to do better. This kind of license, based on my funds, then it will be acquired for $3,000 and so on. Yes, so everything is detailed here. This is the path and so on. I write to him again, hi, and he returns to the conversation we had before. And then here, the mechanics of limits are already being explained. He explains how everything is set up. You can ask him absolutely any question that interests you. He talks about the protection mechanisms, about how everything works, how it's set up. Also, this bot will send you links to Zoom and to the platform. It will work for you as your personal mentor and create a content plan for you. Yes, here I asked him a question that is, how does all this How does it work? Yes, I can ask a question by voice, you see, not just by text, but by voice as well, he explains. Yes, so he understood my request and he explains. I can be a strategist, an analyst, I can be a technical guide, I can be a product coach, a partnership mentor, yes, and most importantly, I adapt to your pace. If you're bored, I skip the formalities and get straight to the point. If you're struggling, I break things down to the smallest details. So you tell it yourself how to communicate with you. You say, listen, let's keep it brief, and it will give you just the key points. Or you say, give me more detailed information about how this works, and it will explain everything in more detail here. For example, I asked it how to use voice. I didn't ask, hey, make me a content plan, right? So for example, it writes, here is the creation of a knowledge base, a warming up strategy. Look, right away, it breaks it down step by step and immediately gives you day 1, day 2, day 3. After I confirm the strategy with it, I can immediately make an agreement with it that it won't write out a huge wall of text, a long-winded text. In my Telegram channel, I just say, okay, today is day 1, please write a post, and it doesn't write a clear, concise post. Taking into account all the mechanics and everything that's needed, it sends it to me in a private message. Guys, all of this, right out of the box, it's available in 3 languages. You can choose Ukrainian, Russian, or English. Here you also have, look, right in the menu, you can launch the bot, navigate through the options, or select the language. When you start navigation, you get access to all the knowledge that's been collected and pinned in our Telegram channel. And if you want the bot to work as your personal mentor, it will handle objections for you. You just write a message to it, like say, listen, right now, here's the situation. For example, Vasya Popkin gave this objection. How do I handle it correctly in 15 seconds? You get a ready-made human-like response. You copy it and send it, and this reply already includes a way to close your deal. Next, once again, I mentioned that it will send you links to the workouts and to the AMA sessions and also the bot. Every morning, it will send you a motivational quote from the world's most advanced teachers from the MLM industry, such as Randy Gage and Eric Warr. So every morning, you'll receive a quote like this that will motivate you. Well, moving on. In general, click around, try it out. 1 minute until the release, right from 0 to 100. How much did you like this demo demonstration? Just how much do you already want the link right now at this moment? As soon as we finish our session now, we will launch it on the Telegram channel, and each of you will be able to use it right away. I just want to give you a heads up. That is, we haven't done large-scale tests for a big audience, so if you notice any minor bugs, please be understanding. We'll fix everything. As you know, our guys are incredibly versatile and skilled at many different things. So that covers everything I wanted to mention for now, Sergey. If you have anything you'd like to add or want to share your personal impressions, please feel free to speak up. Let's not bring this conversation to a close just yet.
If we're talking about concerns, in my opinion, this is a very necessary tool because it will address a huge number of people's questions. It's basically like a second brain, your second assistant. And accordingly, I think this will help people develop overall. and now I want to try it myself. So, when will you send me the link? We've been working on it. Well, here you go. Awesome. Overall, everything's good. I don't know what else to say. I wish everyone a wonderful mood and a wonderful state of mind. Strengthen your faith on the path we're walking. We're always in touch and always happy to hear from you. And
yes, the phrase "let's push forward" comes to mind. It's like the stars.